Greetings. I'm Kathy Green with Christian News and Interviews, and I'd like to talk to you about Rush Limbaugh, who recently passed away. I'm not going to pass judgment on him. I'm simply going to read some of his quotes, and you can judge for yourself who this person was and what his legacy will be, at least in your mind. I'm reading from People Magazine's online paper. And I'm going to share with you just a few quotes that Rush Limbaugh has said over the course of his career. So, reading from People Magazine, it says, most recently, Rush Limbaugh falsely repeatedly said on his show the day after 2021 inauguration that President Joe Biden did not win the election. This after a pro-Trump mob stormed the United States Capitol and left 5 people dead weeks before. Democrats, Limbaugh falsely said, no, this is something that's been arranged rather than legitimately sought and won. Now, he did that during his last days when he knew that he didn't even have much longer to live, but he was still sowing discord. So here's some of his quotes, and then you can be the judge. He began airing Barack the Magic Negro, a racist parody song about the then Senator Barack Obama's popularity with many white voters in 2007. Here's some other quotes of his. Women should not be allowed on juries where the accused is a stud. The Los Angeles riots were not caused by the Rodney King verdict. The Los Angeles riots were caused by rioters. Now, anyone who's familiar with the Rodney King situation, you know that man was beaten almost to a pulp, okay? And so it was caused by the verdict. Anyway, on the Rush Limbaugh show in 2004, he said, I think it's time to get rid of the whole National Basketball Association. Call it the TBA, the Thug Basketball Association, and stop calling them teams. Call them gangs. What was that about? As a young broadcaster in the 1970s, Limbaugh once told a black caller, take that bone out of your nose and call me back. During the Rush Limbaugh show in 2013, he said, if any race of people should not have guilt about slavery, it's Caucasians. The white race has probably had fewer slaves and for a briefer period of time than any other in history of the world. Limbaugh called Georgetown law student Sandra Fluke a slut and a prostitute after she publicly advocated for universal contraceptive coverage. I could go on and on about negative things that Rush Limbaugh has said during the course of his career, but I won't. I will end by saying this. It's interesting how someone who was so flawed could find so much negative in other people. This is a man who was married 4 times during the course of his lifetime. Couldn't hold on to a wife. Finally married a much younger woman, and I'm assuming that the reason she stayed with him was because he was worth a lot of money. This is a man who, although he referred to Mrs. Obama, he insinuated that she was not really a woman. I mean, how disrespectful was that, and what was that about? Acted as though he really didn't like black people, yet was caught over in, I believe it was the Dominican Republic. It was a predominantly black island with a bunch of Viagra. Well, who do you think he was using that on? Clearly, he was using it with black prostitutes. This is a man who used so many drugs during the course of his lifetime. that he ended up deaf in both ears. And even after he went deaf, he continued to use the drugs. And it wasn't until he was caught that he went and got help. This is a man who was full of dichotomy. He insinuated, he didn't just insinuate, he basically said that there was nothing wrong with cigarettes. Yet he smoked cigars all the time